everyone around me just kept saying this is so electric and dynamic, and it's an unreal atmosphere, right? So I think that, there's no letdown on this side, Jason.
Good. I'm glad to hear. It.
On Morning Kickaround here, we have Brad Stith, co-founder and CEO of AC Boise. We have been checking in with Brad and various members of the front office and the supporters in the build-up to the first ever game in Boise, Idaho, and it finally happened on Saturday. Brad, how many years in the making was Saturday night?
More than a decade. So, really like fully operational for the last 3 years as far as just an everyday focus. But from a planning standpoint, definitely more than a decade. So it was a great culmination of vision and dreams and a lot of other things that came to fruition on Saturday evening.
No, I'm not trying to make a negative out of this, but sometimes you do all that work and you get to the moment, and then afterwards you have this massive letdown. So how are you feeling right now, Brad? Because you can't ever do that again. You got there. Now you got lots more work, I know, but that's one time you can do that.
Yeah, there's no question. No, I'm feeling great. Saturday night was electric. So I don't know if either of you were able to watch part of the game, but we had over 7,200 people in the building. We were beyond capacity, as we still have areas of the building that we're building out. And, it was, everyone around me just kept saying this is so electric and dynamic, and it's an unreal atmosphere, right? So I think that, there's no letdown on this side, Jason.
Good. I'm glad to hear. It. We're taking a look at some of the pictures, some of the photos that you guys sent over. There was you saw the guys arriving. By the way, this is your head coach, Nate Miller, right? On the right there, is that who that is?
Yep, that's who that is.
Nate's supposed to know. You got to look the part as you walk in. You can't be carrying your clothes. Come on, Nate. You got to step your game up a little bit. That's okay. It looks cool. We got the tifo from your supporters here. You never forget your first time. Give me a vibe of what that end looked like on Saturday night, because I know we talked to some River Guard people. Obviously, very excited for this big moment.
Yeah, the supporter section was lit. They did a fantastic job. The capo energy was unreal. So, they had a great plan coming into our inaugural game and brought it. So couldn't be more happy with our supporters and the energy that they maintained through the entire evening.
Yeah, it looks like there's plenty of energy and excitement in the house. We're seeing pictures on screen here of not only the supporters end at the end of the stadium there, but the main grandstand there looks to be just about shoulder to shoulder there. And as we work through this slideshow, the goal celebration here, it was a bad weekend for corner flags, but the energy coming from not only the celebrating players, but the stands was electric. How did you feel there? I'm guessing your cup seems full today, but how are you during the celebrations of that first ever goal in the stadium that you guys put together?
Yeah, watching Nick finish that, and you're right, the corner flag definitely, he got all of it on the celebration, but it was
this is going up in your office framed, right? Somebody's framing this, right?
There is no question, right? It's pretty incredible. But timing wise, I was all over the building, and timing wise, when we scored our first home goal, I just happened to be very close to my family from a proximity standpoint. So that was pretty special for me. Never know when it's going to happen during the game, as you're all over the place a little bit from an operational standpoint, making things be just checking on everybody in the building and making sure everybody's having a great time. But, it was special, and the timing was pure. So
you said that not everything was open and available. What more is to come as far as the stadia?
Yeah, I mean, everything was definitely open and available. We didn't sell the capacity in the beer garden. We kept about 100 tickets just because we wanted to make sure from an operational standpoint that was a great experience for everybody there. So we'll continue to expand that section of the stadium, which is on the southeast side, but everything else was definitely full bore. So, I think from a true standing room capacity standpoint, we can go over 8,000 here. But, want to make sure that everybody's first, home game at Athletic Club Boise was exactly what they wanted and exceeded their expectations. And so you get one first date, right? So, and from a pro sports standpoint, all you want to do is make sure that first date's fantastic and that everybody wants a second date. And so, we're almost single game sales will go on sale later this week for our upcoming games. Our next home match is 4/18. So we've got a couple weeks to definitely go over everything Saturday night, operationally continue to improve. I talk a lot about we have a championship standard, and it's not just for our team side, but our front office side. And we want to make sure that standard is upheld and achieved, and that we, flat out just continue to get better every single day. And that's how you drive elite franchises, is making sure that you're very intentional about getting better every single day.
So tell me about the coverage. Tell me about the local attention. I mean, from our perspective, and I talked to my sister before the match last week, and she was like, yeah, they had a fan thing and they were hiring people, and she's not tuned in. She did play soccer in high school, but I don't think she's so super tuned in, but she was giving me a local perspective. So how was the general response to Saturday night?
No, I mean, it was overwhelmingly positive. We probably have the best local TV partnership that's in the USL with our NBC affiliate KTVV here, and they did a full hour pregame prior to having that on NBC here locally in town. Our coverage, we had local media, quite a bit of national media here as well on Saturday night. So I think at last call we had 42 media passes out. So that's not a normal number for most USL teams. So
I've been in MLS press boxes with a couple Litton buttons next to me.
You could go to an MLS press box right now, and there'll be 4 people in the press box. So yeah.
So from a press, like all our local affiliates have been just so supportive of this, and coverage has been fantastic. And I think that part of that is a huge, attribution for the kind of players that Nate brought in and the character and the personalities that they have, because like our media want to be around these guys and get to know them more. And we had 7 or 8 media outlets at our post-game press conference that was up here in the Turf Club where I am right now. And so, from a coverage standpoint, you couldn't be happier, right?
Yeah, I was following along over the weekend, watching that KD TV, the NBC affiliate updates throughout the weekend, and they definitely were wholeheartedly covering the team, and the anchors all looked like they were having a good time. And just from your guys' media and everything I saw around it, and some of our MK Ultras that are up in Boise, there was just smiles ear to ear. It looked like everyone was just having a fantastic time. We're, about 36 hours after your first ever game at your stadium that you took, you said 3 years full time, and then, decade plus. Have you had enough time to process this? Maybe not, but is there a single story or interaction or moment from Saturday that you take away as something that you'd like to share?
Yeah, more than anything else, I think just smiles on kids' faces, thousands of them, right? And just the amount of joy that was in the building. Our team played really well. We were almost at 70% possession. So I think the style of football that Nate wants to make sure that we're playing, and attack, high press, own the ball. If you lose the ball, go get it back. I think that higher energy style of play really aligns with the grit that we have in Boise and that we have as Idahoans. But yeah, more than anything else, like you see that many smiles on kids of all ages, and them, like, pro sports is a memory maker, right? So having families be together and having our community galvanized and come together as one for Saturday night, it's pretty special. So I don't take that for granted at all.
Now, I see the chat is going. People obviously excited for what's happening in Boise and what you guys have built. But we're soccer fans. We've been through these battles before, Brad. And what people will say is, okay, your first game, big crowd, lots of excitement, and you want to enjoy the moment. And I hope that your staff and everybody at AC Boise is getting a chance to enjoy the moment. But it's hard not to think about next year and the year after that and 5 years from now. And we've talked about this before, but now that you get a sense of what the immediate reaction was, what from Saturday is part of the foundation for making sure that this is not a one-off thing, this continues deep into the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything starts with season ticket sales, right? And you see lots of teams that sell out their inaugural home opener, as they well should. I mean, they're doing something historic in their community. And then, teams that don't have that season ticket base and the community support, both from, your fans and your corporate partners, you see that dip a little bit. And even after a first year from working in pro sports for a long, long time, it's really, how do you avoid the second year drop off, right? Because everybody's so excited that first year, and you get through that honeymoon period, and how do you maintain that? And I think that for us and, the massive season ticket holder base we have, is the foundation of this franchise. And so when you're able to align with them and make sure that, your service side is incredible and that they have a great experience every single time they come in the building, that's the accountability of running the front office the right way, right? And making sure that it's fan first and it's intentional and it's focused and there's definitely a right way to operate, and I've been lucky enough to learn from some of the best in the world, and that part's special. Robert, back to your other question though. The game was incredible. The atmosphere was incredible. The one thing that I think that was truly special over the weekend is we had Easter brunch together yesterday. So the team, the coaches, the ownership, all the families, the entire front office. So we were up here, had a couple hundred people up here for brunch, and it was a beautiful day in Boise. So it was probably 70 degrees outside, and you had kids playing on the pitch. And, it's like, how often do you really get to do that? But I think that, when you're bringing a team to fruition like this and you're able to, it's about family, right? And that's truly what we are.
That sounds like an amazing Easter Sunday to spend it with the new extended family there and have players and team and staff all there in one place at the same time, celebrating that big first step there from Saturday night into Sunday morning. And I'm assuming the sun looked as beautiful as it does shining in on you and the stadium there in our shot today. We've got some comments from the viewers saying that this success of this opening weekend speaks a lot to the time and kind of like not rushing into this, because we've seen other teams, get a little bit ahead of themselves, maybe rush into things. What can you say about kind of you and your group's, measured approach and not rushing to the market ahead of time?
Yeah, I think as you enter the market, right, and it's about creating relationships. And, this is my hometown, so obviously we've got those, but it takes time. Like, relationships can't be, you're not just going to pull them out of a hat, right? And so I think that having, this vision, but everybody's got a rendering, right? when they first launch a stadium, everybody's got a rendering. And the unique thing about our pragmatic approach to this was the building on Saturday night looked better than the rendering, guys, right? And
Hey.
And that doesn't often happen. And so I think that if you go back a year, and I would tell any team owner that you at least have to have It is a solid, at least 15, if not 18-month process to launch appropriately, right? And to your point, sometimes you're seeing these teams launch in 6 months, and that's not viable. And not to build the relationships in the community, because I mean, all summer long. So starting last March, when we officially broke ground and season ticket deposits went on sale, every single Wednesday, starting that last week in March, we had our business community together, where we had CEOs and VPs of sales and CHROs and managing directors of nonprofits here for lunch every single Wednesday. So we were about 80 to 100 people, just walking them through the project, showing them. I mean, and this is when the Turf Club had zero remodel, right? Looks very, very different in what I'm sitting in right now than it did then. But I think that being able to, really enroll people in that building process, because like from the start, I said this was built by Boise for Boise, right? And it's not me building it. It's the fact that you've got your fans and your corporate community and supporters all building this together. And it's an enrollment process where, you've got to have your arms wide open and embrace everybody that wants to help you build it, because you can't do it alone. So I think that that approach is, can work in every single community where you have a football team that is going to launch or come to fruition. And then it's intentional about, asking for feedback and making sure that you get better. So yeah, it's like, was Saturday night incredible? Absolutely. But our job as stewards of this franchise is now to ask what needs improved, what needs to get better, because that communication with all your stakeholders is, I think, the difference in a lot of ways, because we're open to that feedback, and all we want to do is get as good as we possibly can be.
One more question here for you, Brad, since this was the culmination of all this work, and we have talked about it throughout. And by the way, if anybody's watching this, we've talked about it, Brad, a bunch of times. We talked to a lot of people at AC Boise. Go find the Countdown to Kickoff series on the club as we got to this moment. This was the culmination. I'm curious how much sort of remedial education about the game is necessary from your perspective in terms of making new fans in Boise. Some people will jump on because it's representing Boise and they love their town and they love their area. Some are definitely soccer fans and know the game and are glad to have a team representing their town in the sport they love. But I imagine there's some people who just don't know a lot about soccer. How much of that is part of your story?
One of the biggest surprises, you're right. You definitely have people that just want to support Boise, but Boise is a soccer town. So, I think that the final third in the crowd with what we had Saturday night, and you saw everybody starting to stand up and the energy building, especially in that last, 20 minutes and into extra time, they're not just soccer fans. They know the game. You could tell that, and we've talked about this before, but we've got 18,000 kids that play soccer in the Valley, and for a 1 million person market, that's 3x than normal markets, right? So we're one of the, per capita, we're top 3 when it comes to youth soccer participation in the entire country. And wow. So when you've got that many soccer families and that many people that have a solid understanding of the game, it wasn't just being about event fans or pro sports fans, but from people that are truly, soccer people, they were I had no idea that the entire stadium was going to be this locked in and this educated and just this galvanized really together as we went through the match. So, yeah. So that was, I wouldn't say it's a surprise, but it was awesome to see. Right. Okay. And so that was pretty cool.
That's great, because obviously you would prefer not to have to do any of that, and we've got some comments that say you shouldn't be doing any of that because it's insulting to people, and I understand that. But there's an instinct, I think, on the part of people in this country to think, well, we don't know soccer the way other people know soccer. We have to do X, Y, or Z. We need somebody with an accent to tell us about it. That kind of stuff. I have feelings about this, Brad. I don't want to open up a can of worms, but I have feelings about this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to have to need. Yeah, we don't. That's not Boise. So we're in a pretty good spot. So,
well, Brad, congratulations on opening day, and it's been an exciting journey to count down to kickoff with AC Boise, and I'm glad the first day at the stadium went so well. And then viewers, look up the AC Boise Countdown to Kickoff playlist on the channel. Any parting words as we go, Brad, as we got a couple weeks to the next game?
Yeah, I mean, we're on the road to AV Alta this weekend, and we're back home against Westchester on the 18th. But no, I mean, Jason, Robert, just want to thank you guys for the continued conversation. But with any franchise, like countdown to kickoff, people are like, "Oh, you finally got there," and I'm like, "No, we finally that was the starting gun, right?"
Right.
and so I was like, "Yeah, the build-up's there, but finally got this thing started on Saturday." And again, it's intentional about just getting better and improving and embracing your community, embracing the fans, and building this together brick by brick. And that's how proper franchises are created, because it's truly owned by. I mean, this is for Boise. Boise owns this, and I think that they're proud of what they saw Saturday night, and we'll just continue to take steps forward and make it better.
One step to the next, all the work going into that first day, and then now the new beginning begins. So thank you, Brad, for joining us on Countdown to Kickoff.
Yep. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Robert.